Thanks, Shelby, and thanks for having us as your guest today. We're super excited to share with everyone some tips and tricks for getting restarted right after the challenging months that we've all had. I think it's fair to say, and we probably all agree to some degree, your business has changed, right? It's a little different today than how it looked a few months ago, and your customers are a little different too. So whether your doors are open, you're just getting them open, maybe they've been open, or you haven't quite opened yet, but the world's a little bit is a little bit different today in how we need to operate. And so how do you market your business in this new kind of crazy reality that we're in that kind of changes day by day, so to speak? How do we continue to market, make connections with people, and make sales? And so that's what we want to share with you today. But before we get started, just a really quick introduction about who we are. If you're not familiar with us, I am Patty. I am the CEO of the agency, and I love strategy. I love working with businesses to help them figure out, what their challenge is and to reach their goals. That's really kind of my passion. Grant, what's your passion?
So very similarly to you, Patty, I love the strategic aspect of helping businesses. Really like helping small businesses. In fact, I'm involved with a lot of groups that we do some consulting and different things like that. So definitely love helping businesses grow, everything from digital marketing strategy to traditional marketing to sales. I really enjoy doing that. And of course, I love, being able to go out and about and meet new people. That's really a fun thing for me.
Which means you're doing all of that virtually right now.
I'm doing it all online right now. That's right.
And we're going to share some of what that looks like with everyone too. So Jess, what about you? What are you passionate about?
Well, I absolutely love social media. I love the power that it has. Obviously, we're all on it, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, like there's so many different platforms. So I love continuing learning about them because, as we know, they change all the time, and they're playing a huge part as far as, this whole COVID thing. Everybody's staying connected through these platforms. So I love helping businesses stay connected with their customers through social media. Also love Google. I love Google My Business. So I love talking about that and helping businesses get found on Google as well.
Awesome. So all of you are here for a reason, and I'm guessing that part of that reason is you may be experiencing some challenges with what you're doing to either get your business restarted, thinking about getting restarted. And how do you do that when you have what I want to call some limitations around what you can do, right? In terms of getting in front of your audience. So I would love it if you could all just chat in the chat line, just kind of give me an answer to what some of the biggest digital marketing and sales challenges that you might be experiencing as part of Restart Ohio. So I'm going to give you just a quick hot minute. Go in and just give me a quick brief answer. What is some of the things that you're experiencing? Maybe people can't get to you because, whatever restrictions you might have. You're having a challenge getting to people. Maybe people don't know you exist. Maybe you didn't have an online brand presence and now people can't find you. Like, what is it that you feel like you're kind of experiencing with some of the challenges as you are getting back into Restart Ohio? So some of those comments, okay, yep. Changing hours is definitely an interesting one, right? Like that's definitely a challenge for people. Serving higher risk clientele. And especially if you have to go to their homes, that's an interesting service to think about and a challenge as well. So kind of keep those challenges coming, if you will, because as we go through the presentation today, what we want to do is kind of link some of your challenges to some of the solutions and try to customize this as much as we can. So what we're going to talk to you about today kind of falls into three particular focus areas. And one is we want to share with you what is called life cycle marketing and why you should care about it, what it really means. And at the heart of that, it's really about understanding how to put your customer first in your planning, okay? Putting what they want, what they need first. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the real fun stuff is like, what do I need to do? So we're going to talk about lots of different tactics that are available to you and actually use to help build your 30 to 90-day marketing plan. And then we're going to end up our time with you today by definitely we want to allow time for Q&A, get some discussion going. And then obviously we have 3 digital coaching workshops to help further helping you in what you need. So we'll be going over those with you as well. So let's jump right in and let's talk about basics first. And so life cycle marketing and the buyer's journey. I think we all agree the world's different and how people are finding this is very different. But what we still find in our world is that the businesses may not quite understand how people are finding you today and the level of what that looks like. So we need to understand how people search online, because that's been their tool. In fact, if you read any research today, you will find that the internet's basically exploded. Where people weren't, or businesses weren't, thinking, oh, our customers are trying to find us. Now that's the only way they could find them. And so the internet in and of itself, in terms of having your footprint of your brand, has significantly grown over the past couple of months. So what we want to fundamentally make sure we all understand is, first, how are people finding you to begin with? Like, how does this whole thing really work? And so in a quick order, I wake up and I say, I need something, or something happened and it's causing me to search for something. And so when I search and go to Google and I put my words or phrases in that top Google bar, I'm going to find something, and that something is either going to come through a Facebook ad, something Facebook organic, something in the search engines like a blog. I might find a Google ad, or it could be the Google My Business. These are usually the top categories of what is going to pop up first when you begin to search. And when you click, when it's done well, when you click on one of those things, because there's typically should be some form of link or call to action, when I click on it, it's going to take me either to a landing page or a website. And on that, it's going to give me more information about what it was I was looking for. And it will have some type of what is called a call to action button, asking me to do something, right? As a business, that's what you should want. You should be guiding people to do something. You have to take them there. And then that call to action, there's some type of form where you're going to gather information. They can ask questions, what have you. And that results in you as a business getting that contact information. We would call this a lead or a prospect, whatever potential word you might be using for your business. And then you can begin to nurture them. You can respond to them. You now have their information, so you can take further action to get to know them and what their challenges are and what they're looking for. And sometimes it may be a phone call. Sometimes it may be an email. But in any event, understanding the cadence of how things work on the internet. And it could be as quick as, if it's an e-commerce site, they could be buying or asking a question, where if it's maybe a service and they have questions around it, it may take longer to get that customer to do something. But we need to understand this part in order to understand what is called the marketing and the sales funnel. And that is basic kind of marketing and sales 101. This is how it looks, both from a traditional and a digital standpoint. And the funnel is wide at the top, and it's wide at the top because it takes lots of touches to make sure that your brand is found above everybody else's. The rule of thumb is, if you're not on the first page of Google, you really don't exist, because most people, in fact, statistically, over 90% of people will not go beyond the first page of Google. So we have to make sure that your brand is found, and we may need to do multiple different things at the top to pull people in. So people are first a visitor. Then once they start interacting with you, they become a lead. And our whole goal is, again, to be a customer, right? That's where we make our sale, our revenue, or meet our mission, whatever it is based upon your business. So understanding these basic fundamental concepts are really important, because that's what leads us to the life cycle marketing stages. And that is really about the process of providing your target audience with the kinds of communication and the experiences they need, want, or like in order to move them from prospects to customers. Ideally, what you want is raving fans. You want that good old word of mouth marketing that when you ask somebody, they say your name of your business and automatically that person wants to go there. It works the same way online, that old traditional word of mouth marketing. But with lifecycle marketing, it's really about understanding the cadence of how a buyer functions online. And there are different stages when we think about that. So at the beginning stage, like I said, right, I had a need. There's something I wanted, and I might have came across your business using one of these tactics. And when I did, I then wanted to engage with you. I wanted to ask you more questions. Maybe I wanted to talk to you. Maybe I just wanted information. And then I liked it so much. Now I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to make that decision. You sold me on it. You earned my trust. And then the support and delight. You're a customer. And we all know, based upon the type of business or the service or product that you're offering, is that it's far cheaper to focus on your existing customers than it is to go get new ones. So how can I upsell, cross-sell? How can I continue to grow that customer base that I need? And so when we're in a time like we are right now, now is the time to really focus on the support and delight of existing customers, because they are your bread and butter right now. It is far easier to nurture them, to engage them, to keep them informed, and to use the tactics that will do that versus it is to go out and get new ones. So consider that as we work through your plans, which is what we want to get into next. And that is talking through how do you build your 30 to 90-day plan. Now, this may seem, I guess, a little counterintuitive, because in the old days of marketing, it really was all about, oh, build your plan for a year. Well, those kind of days are kind of gone, because really we're all kind of functioning right now on very short snippets of time periods. And 30 days periods of time are manageable, and it allows you to shift and adapt quickly. So what we want to think about as you're building your plan is what questions should I ask? How should I start building this plan? And it really starts with kind of focusing on 6 fundamental questions to ask. And so your first question is, who's your ideal customer? Who are you really trying to attract? You know, the more you can narrow that answer down, the better results that you're going to get. The old days of putting an ad in a newspaper, and we used to call that spray and pray marketing, and hoping the right people would see it and touch base with you, that's extremely expensive. That's not to say that traditional advertising isn't beneficial. It's to say that you don't have a big depth of resources today. So we need to use them wisely, and we need to be very focused and intentional in what we're doing. The second question is, what are the top 5 things your customers ask about you? So think about the existing phone calls, the questions that they're asking when they have that first conversation, or when they walk into your store or your business. What are those top 5 things that you hear repetitively over and over again? The other thing is, how does your customers find you? If you look back, what were the ways or the avenues most of your customers were coming in? And I will tell you, it's kind of easy to get kind of hooked on, oh, well, they came from a word of mouth referral. Somebody referred them to me. Well, that's great if you were tracking and you had a brand loyalty program in place that you could recognize or reward those customers for. But if you didn't maintain a database of that, then you have to sorry, but that word of mouth thing is going to be really helpful right now. So make sure you're kind of tracking what we call the sources. Where are people finding you from? And then why does your customer choose you over someone else? Are you asking that question? You know, say, hey, what caused you to stop in? Or, you know, why did you decide to work with me over that other person? You may not always get an answer, but you won't know or get any answer unless you're asking that question. And number 5, what makes your service or product different and unique? There's a lot of businesses, right? There's a lot of different businesses that do all the same thing. The key is what makes you different and unique, and that's what you need to be talking about. That's called your competitive advantage, and we really need to pull that out and make that shine. And another little hint around that is you may go, Patty, there's nothing that makes me different. Like we're all the same. We all offer the same product, the same service, like everything's the same. Except that if your competition isn't talking about those things, you now are different because you are. So don't get locked into, oh, we're all the same. Look at what they're not talking about, and you can talk about those things. And number 6, this is a biggie for right now. What is the biggest concern your customer has right now today? What's it going to be 30 days from now? Again, the world's dynamically changed. People are feeling very insecure. They need reassurance. They need to feel safe. So what can you do to do that? And if you understand what they're worried about, they're worried about when I come in, am I going to get COVID because, you haven't sanitized things, or you're not making people wear masks, or whatever it is, understand that. And then that's something that you can play to as well. So those are kind of the basic fundamentals that we want to get started with in order to build your actual plan. And so this particular template is, and you will all get this after the session, we'll email this all out to you. There's really 2 tabs. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And the first tab has all those questions that I just kind of walked through and talked with you about, so you can answer and process. And then the second tab has actually this plan. We've built it out for June, July, and August for you. And then as we're going through the next section of tactics, you can begin to kind of make notes and fill some of those things in. So this will give you your working plan that can dynamically change as your world is changing right now, fast-paced, again, being agile and flexible with what you're working on. So now that we've talked about that, next let's talk about the tactics. Let's get into some of those nitty-gritty things. And the first thing that I know Jess wants to talk about is digital advertising, because there's been some really cool new things that have actually just came out during this crisis period of time that I think are very specific, especially for the small to medium-sized business. So Jess, what you got for us?
Okay, so the very first thing is something that's relatively new. Google has these really cool smart campaigns, and these were generated with small businesses in mind. So if you've ever advertised on Google, they can be kind of expensive, but these are very cost effective. They can start with a $100 or $150 budget per ad. And they're actually really easy to manage. So basically, you will need your Google My Business verified and updated to use this feature. And it uses your listing and it uses your website to help you generate these ads. And the smart aspect of this is once you start building this ad, it will look for search terms that'll help users get to your website or to your Google My Business listing. So that's why it's super easy to use. With a normal PPC ad, it's a little bit more complex, but these are super easy. Like I said, there's some, you definitely want to make sure that you're monitoring it. I know it says minimal ongoing management, but using those metrics and those analytics as your ad is being served is very, very useful for you and your business. So here's a really neat example. So this is for an insurance company. This is what this would look like. So it's pulling in their website, and then there's just a small little blurb there that has some of the key search terms that your customers could be looking for. So very simple. It would show up, just like a normal Google ad, only it's a smart ad. And again, like I said, we usually recommend a $150 budget for these type of ads, which is very inexpensive compared to a normal PPC ad. And then the next thing is Facebook advertising, which is one of my favorites. Facebook advertising is just another one of those advertising tools that is very cost effective. It gets you in front of a bunch of customers, as we know, a lot of people are on Facebook. You can reach thousands of people at the fraction of the cost of traditional print, TV, radio advertising. And what's great is you can easily see the ROI that comes from these all these advertisements that you put on Facebook. So right now I'm going to go over, there's a handful of ways or different ways you can advertise on Facebook. I'm going to go through 3 that I have found has been very effective, very easy to manage. So the first one is brand awareness. So I am borrowing some examples from our friends at Sydney Flower Shop. This is some real ads that they have put out before. So these brand awareness ads will show in front of potential customers that are likely to buy from you. This is a great ad setting if you are trying to establish a following on your Facebook page. So if you're just starting out, you're just building your business page, this is a great way to start building that following. And you also get an added feature of the ad recall lift metric. And what that is it will actually it will show you how many people will remember your ad. So this is like a data metric that Facebook came up with, and it pretty much lets you know, or it lets you know how many people actually remember your ad within 2 days, which is actually kind of a really cool metric to watch. So for the example, we used Sydney Flower Shop's Valentine's Day as one of their biggest holidays, as you all know. But then they want to stay top of mind after that big holiday. So we did another brand awareness campaign, kind of just poking fun at people that may have forgotten Valentine's Day, and just saying, hey, you can still send flowers, or if you have a birthday or an anniversary coming up, like, just keeping them top of mind, and just touching on those folks that may have interacted with the ad but completely forgot, and they're like, oh yeah, I need to do this. So that's what how a brand awareness ad works. The next one is a traffic ad. So if you're wanting to generate more traffic to your website, or if you've generated an app, this is a really good route to go. So it increases visits to your website or your app, and it's shown to customers that will more than likely take action when they arrive to your website or your app. So it's very targeted, and Facebook, with the data that they've collected, they know who will actually take action on, for Sydney Flower Shop, for example, if they've seen them interacting with other flower shops pages or ads. So they'll likely, go and direct them to Sydney Flower Shop. And the third one is messenger ads. So this is something that Facebook is really starting to push out there, and it's really effective. I'm actually seeing a lower cost per click with these types of ads. So what's great about these, especially with the COVID situation, these are really great to make that one-on-one connection with your customers. So basically, it kind of looks like a traffic ad or a brand awareness ad. The only difference is the CTA, or the call to action on these ads, is to direct them to your messenger bot that lives on your Facebook page. So again, you're getting that chance to have that one-on-one interaction with your customers. You can offer support, you can answer questions, and then you can help direct them to wherever they need to go on your website, or wherever you need to lead them to. So let's talk a little bit about retargeting. So when we serve these ads, we like to retarget people that have, visited our ads, our websites, our apps. So that's how retargeting can come in. So social media takes up a lot of our time, right? It's important to stay in the forefront of our customers' attention, excuse me. So social media retargeting works by connecting you with consumers who have already visited your site, who have already visited your social channels, while incorporating online behavior from the open web. So as consumers browse elsewhere, for example, if you're looking at a pair of shoes or a dress or something that you interacted on a different website, and then hop onto Facebook, I bet you've seen ads that go back to that same product that you interacted with on that website. So that's how retargeting works. So here's an example from Otterbein that we've done with them. So if a user visits a location page on their website, we can set up a retargeting ad through Facebook by installing a Facebook pixel on the back end of their website. That pixel will then translate that information back to Facebook, and that's how we can retarget users. So for example, this user looked at the St. Mary's location, and then they jumped over to Facebook, and after a while, Facebook will serve them an ad that will that pertains to that specific location. So that's how the Facebook pixel works. So it just keeps it helps keep Otterbein top of mind to that user that visited that page, and they'll just kind of gradually serve ads as they're scrolling along Facebook or even Instagram. So that covers tip number 1. Patty, what do we have for tip number 2?
Well, tip number 2 is search engine optimization. And interesting enough, during this crisis period of time, nothing has been more relevant than search engine optimization. So businesses who've been really working on optimizing their brand online before the crisis hit have really benefited from basic organic search engine optimization, which is really broken down into 3 categories: on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical. So I want to just kind of give you some highlights of each of those and maybe get some ideas flowing for you as you think about your plan. And the first is the on-page SEO. And so one of the things that you want to think about, on-page means just that. It's the words on the page, it's the images on the page, it's the things that you see. So this is a great example of a business that during this crisis period of time and thinking about restarting, they made it super easy to do business with them. You can tell multiple ways right off the bat. They redid what I would call their hero image so that that message is clear. During this trying time, we're here for you. We've made it affordable for you to work with this, and we've given you 5 different ways to connect with us. Super easy, super simple, and that's what people are looking for right now. They want it to be convenient. They want it to be easy. And so as you're thinking about your on-page, your homepage of your website, maybe rethink what it needs to look like right now. And with some minor optimization changes, you can be being more in tune with where people are in this current time. The next has to do with what are called chatbots. Again, a chatbot is a way to connect with you, and it's actually a robot that lives on your website. And although we've humanized it, because we know, and remember those 5 questions I asked you early on, what are people predominantly asking? Well, we can set the chatbot up to have those questions and the answers and start making it really easy to interact with your business online. The next one is video. And so video, it's already just kind of like wildfire, so to speak, but actually by the end of 2 years from now, it'll drive over 80% of the internet. So kind of rethink how video is being used. It's not the big productions. Phones work really well for videos. Oftentimes people can take the video, they just don't know how to optimize it or to edit it. So videos on your website, videos in social media, videos in email. So videos can be used on any channel, and it's a great, easy way to interact, connect, humanize. That's the key. Humanize and personalize your interactions with your customers, especially if you have limited face-to-face time. The next one is called conversion rate optimization, a little bit more technical, but really in the short run, what it really has to do with is just making slight improvements to your website and running tests to continue to improve getting those conversions. So just like that website that I actually showed you earlier, you know, monitoring that to figure out which one of those communication avenues are people really taking advantage of, which ones aren't they, and maybe it's changing the color on the call to action button, maybe it's changing the wording, how it's organized, but conversion rate optimization is a key part of really getting your website, both on page, off page, and your technical, to really resonate with what the search engines are looking for. Now we'll move to what's called off-page optimization. And so Jess, tell us a little bit about Google My Business.
Okay, so Google My Business is, if you've ever done a search term into Google, if there's something that matches that, search term, they will put a listing off to the right side. So I'm picking on Sydney Flower Shop again. This is what their listing looks like. So this easily connects you with customers across Google Search, Maps, and it gives them the information that they're looking for, like right away, so that without even clicking into your website. So it gives, your address, your phone number, your hours of operation, and then you can list your products and your services in there as well. So when they do a Google search, only one listing will show to the right. So how does Google determine which one shows up? They are looking for the most accurate and the most active listing, and that's the one they will pick to show onto the right side. So this is why claiming your listing and keeping it up to date and staying active on it by, posting and adding photos is so important. Since many searches are done via mobile, the Google My Business listing makes it easy for customers to contact you. All they have to do is click a little phone button. There's also a message button, which I'll get into here in a second, but it makes it super easy. They can just click on that little phone icon and it takes them right to that phone number and they can call you right away. So I know I mentioned Google My Business Posts. It kind of acts a little similar to like a social platform. So there's a handful of ways that you can post on here. These are the 3 top postings that that we use the most. The most popular would be an update. So if you have a new blog that just came out, if you have, if we're going to talk, with the times right now, if there's new safety measures that you're putting out there, they actually have a special COVID category right now that you can utilize. They haven't really said how long they're going to keep it up, but with the way things are going, it's probably going to be, for the rest of the year. So you can utilize that as well. It actually kind of pushes that post to the top of your listing to make sure people actually see it. So there's a COVID update, and then there's just the regular update, which I have an example here, just a regular posting or a blog post update. There's also an event. So if, I use this event, for example, like if you have an event coming up, you can post it here. If you have an offer, so if you have like a coupon code or if you're giving, a free coaching or anything like that, this is a great way to get that word out there. They can click on that post and they can get that coupon code, or they can go directly to the website. And then I mentioned direct messaging through mobile. So like I said, this is only a mobile feature. There's the call icon, there's the message icon. And this works very similar to a regular text message. So when the user clicks that message icon, it kind of pops up as a text message and they can ask the question right there. Just keep in mind that usually it's only one person that can manage these, and it's through the Google My Business app. You will get a notification on your phone, whoever's managing those messages, and just to make sure that you won't be penalized for not answering, just to make sure that you can quickly respond to those within 24 hours, because we all want a quick response, especially now. So Google makes sure that that happens for the customers. And then we'll move on to organic social. So organic social channels, believe it or not, is a great off-page SEO. Google loves LinkedIn, it loves Facebook. As you can see with the example, I did just a regular search for marketing essentials, and you can see that our Facebook page is actually the 4th on the listing, and our LinkedIn page is 6th. So it's in the top 10, it's on that first page. So it works really, really well with Google. And don't forget, social channels act as great engines or search engines as well. Your customers are likely searching for you within those channels. I do get a lot of questions, should I be on Facebook? Should I be on LinkedIn? If you're a B2C, Facebook is great. And then B2B, Facebook and LinkedIn, I would say, because I feel like everybody should be on Facebook since it is, the #1 social channel right now. So just to go over some organic social postings that you can do, I know Patty mentioned talked about video. That is very prevalent right now on social. I know as you're scanning through, if you're anything like me, as I'm scanning through my news feed, video makes me stop in my tracks before, just a regular text or just a static image. So organic social video is just that little bit of extra that catches your buyer's attention. And then live video is even bigger right now. So again, Sydney Flower Shop does a ton of live video, and they get a lot of engagement with that because it adds that extra human aspect. I know Patty mentioned earlier about humanizing your brand. This really gives your customer an inside, look into your business. I know live video is very intimidating, but just keep in mind, it's, live video is not meant to be perfect. You can stumble, you can, some things may not go right, but it's still okay because you're human and people relate to that. You don't want to be perfect all the time. So live video, if you haven't started it, definitely look into it. It's something that your customers will really stop and watch. So this is another feature that Facebook just rolled out with. I am super excited about it. It's called Facebook Shops. It's Facebook and actually Instagram as well, since they're both together. So any businesses that have a shop can use this feature, especially if you're retail or e-commerce. businesses that sell apparel, accessories like bags and luggage, home furnishings, baby, all that kind of stuff. This is perfect. And the great thing of it is it's free. Like, they've brought this out at the most perfect time. So it's easier for people to go in and shop. You can, like I said, you can access it through Facebook and Instagram, and you can promote it through Facebook ads. So it's just another feature of Facebook ads. If you have a certain item that you're trying to push, this is a great way to get it out there. And you can also communicate with your customers, like I mentioned Messenger earlier. You can communicate with them. You can answer questions about certain items. That's all done within this Facebook shop. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely look into it. It's really, really cool. You get the metrics that come with it too. You can see how many people viewed a product, clicked on it, and obviously you'll see who purchases it. But I think this is a really cool and exciting new feature that Facebook has just recently rolled out. So that pretty much covers off-page SEO. Patty, do you want to talk about the technical aspects of SEO?
Yes, the most exciting part of SEO is what you can't see, and that's the technical part. So, the core, just to have a basic understanding, there are over 200 technical elements that Google uses to rank each page of a website. And so understanding how to use those technical elements, some of which were on page, some of which just covered as off page, and then there's some of those are the technical elements. And so basically what Google cares about is how users interact with your site. And they determine the ranking and how you're checking off the boxes with these 200 elements based upon how users interact with your site. So some of these are common sense. Site speed. We're all impatient. When we pull up a site, we want it to load quickly. So site speed is one of the technical elements. Security. So making sure that in your domain name, your hosting is secure, and it should look like this. You can see the little lock that is on there. If you don't have a lock on your domain, it is not secure. You're sending negative signals to Google, which is affecting your ranking. More importantly, you're sending negative signals to your customers that your website is not safe or secure. And the third most critical element is mobile responsiveness. More people are using their mobile devices to begin their searches on for products or services. And so if your website does not respond to the device, making it easy to interact with your site, then you're going to lose your customers. And the next thing that we want to transition to, and I want to be super sensitive to time here because we wanted to try to allow as much time for questions as possible. We're going to be talking next about email strategies. And so if you have questions about anything that we've talked about so far, or if there's questions that you have that we haven't talked about these tactics, please start streaming those in your chat line. So as we begin to wrap up here, we make sure that we already have those questions and can begin to address those. So with that, email strategies, Grant, what you got for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I will quickly kind of get through this so we can make sure we can get to the questions. But email is such a crucial part to being able to continue to promote the services and products that you have. And, there's a lot of different types of emails that are out there, but I really want to kind of hone in on what are the two different types of strategies that really require the least amount of effort for the greatest return. And number one is always going to be your welcome emails. And you want to be able to nail that welcome email and really nail that first response, because you're setting the tone for your brand and you're setting the tone for what your customers are going to be getting as they interact with your brand. So personalize it, and then always be sure that, since your customer showed interest, that you're returning the favor and that you're engaging in an appropriate way with that customer. And two is, that customer, as you continue to try and nurture the relationship, you want to keep them engaged. And so having a nurture campaign where you have an established cadence, maybe it's, once a week, or maybe it's once a month in some cases, you just want to continue to nurture those customers, keep your brand top of mind, keep them informed of what you're doing as a business. And that will ultimately lead to the potential to grow revenue in the future. And so I actually have two examples here. One is of a welcome email, and you can kind of see quickly that a couple of the key elements are: one, it's branded with the brand colors and has a friendly welcome message. Two, it's got a personalized greeting with it, and it's thanking the customer for engaging with the brand. Three, and again, as Patty and Jess have kind of talked about, you have the video element, and you really need to make sure that you're personalizing your brand and having videos that people are going to want to engage with. And that video actually also tells the customer what to expect with their brand. And finally, you have the branded sign off at the end, where again, you have the logo, and then you have the option for the customer to follow through and check out maybe some of the social channels as well. And if you kind of look over the monthly newsletter, so again, branded with a personalized video, keeping that same look and feel is very important to establishing, a solid brand identity with your customer. And then you are offering helpful content. And that's one of the big things right now is, your customers may or may not be looking to immediately buy, but you want to offer helpful content so that when they are ready to buy, you already have been delivering value. And in this case, this customer actually, they were giving content away that wasn't even theirs, and just in order to help the customer understand what was going on with the industry.
And Grant, just before you bopped into e-commerce, I know one of the guests that are with us today, they talked about they need to, engage their stakeholders into what's going on with their organization, et cetera. And an email is a perfect strategy for customer retention, customer communication, et cetera. So definitely, email would definitely be a tactic that I would focus on in your plan, if that is your goal, to keep in touch with your stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tip number 4 is kind of touching on e-commerce. And obviously right now with the COVID situation, there's been a lot of brick and mortar retailers who are kind of being forced to look at their e-commerce options, just for the sheer fact that, their customers are still trying to buy products, but they may not necessarily be able to get in the front doors, or that their experience might be a little bit different, where now, they need that convenience to be able to buy online. And so a couple quick tips with e-commerce is, one, you're going to always want to collect emails, because through email, again, as Patty, you just mentioned, email is such an important aspect to be able to continue to engage and nurture customer relationships. 2 is you're going to want to consider some new customer incentives. So, a lot of times businesses think that just because they have the e-commerce site out there that people are automatically going to go find them. And a lot of times that's not the case. You need to maybe incentivize your customers to go check out the e-commerce store. So maybe you offer free shipping on the first order, or maybe you're, doing 1% off the first order. Different things like that can incentivize your customers to jump on and really check out what you have. Also, you're going to want to consider some post-sale upsell suggestions. So I want to use this example. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the Kroger pick list. And so, as you're going through, maybe you were buying peanut butter, for example, and you might get a suggestion from Kroger that says, are you also interested in jelly? Are you also interested in bread? And having those types of helpful suggestions, 1, is going to bring value to the customer, and 2, it's going to allow you to capitalize on some revenue that you may not have necessarily had in the first place. Another thing is cart abandonment. And so we've all had those situations where, we fill up our shopping cart online, but maybe we didn't necessarily check out. And so having a strategy in place that you can prompt those customers that didn't necessarily check out, but they have the list or they have the cart full, prompt them with, maybe a discount on that cart, or maybe, again, the free shipping aspect. Really continuing to nurture that customer all the way through will be an additional ability to capitalize on revenue. And then, of course, you're always going to want to continue to promote through all your channels. So as we mentioned, there's a lot of different tactics that go into a digital marketing strategy. So making sure that you're consistent in your messaging and continuing to talk about your e-commerce stores through all your channels, whether it's email, through social media, Facebook, Instagram. Those are all great ways to continue to promote your e-commerce strategy. And Jess, I know we had a couple of quick examples. So just, this is just kind of a snippet from Amazon, but again, you can kind of see that frequently bought together section where that's kind of an upsell opportunity. And then again, customers who bought this item also bought X. So kind of going back to that peanut butter and jelly thing where, if you had peanut butter, you might also want to buy jelly. And so kind of having those opportunities there, along with, that % off of first purchase, or maybe a % off plus free shipping. And you also want to have messaging that's driving urgency, because that will be key to making your customer want to take the action that's needed. And then finally, my last tip is on virtual sales. So I'll quickly get into all 3 of these, but 1 is to be responsive, 2 is to always personalize, and 3 is to always deliver value and don't sell. So again, be responsive, be helpful, respond in minutes, not in days. And something that Harvard Business Review found was that firms that tried to contact potential customers within an hour of receiving the query, they were nearly 7 times as likely to qualify the lead as those who maybe even tried an hour later. And they were more than 60 times as likely as companies who have waited 24 hours. And so you really have to be timely, and you need to be there when the customer is there. And so I know a lot of businesses are like, well, gosh, I'm a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner. I can't be there all the time. So there's different tools and tactics you can use, and you can utilize automation to make sure that that customer is getting a message back in a very timely manner, to make sure that you're showing that you are engaged with them. And then of course you'll have that helpful follow-up later where you'll be able to start delivering value and really being able to move that customer along in their journey. Again, like we've kind of mentioned, and a couple other things: personalize, personalize, personalize. That's video messaging. That's making sure that your greetings and sign-offs have that humanized picture and messaging that's really going to make that customer want to engage with your brand.
And that takes us to tip number 6, and that's the direct mail. And you may scratch your head a little bit, and you're like, really? Like, you're going to talk to me about traditional marketing? But yeah, we're not saying that. We never say that one thing is better than the other in terms of traditional versus digital. In terms of it's what works best for your particular business. So direct mail, especially now, is still very relevant because it's touchless. If you think about it, it's just funny, right? It's touchless because, I can't get in front of you and touch you, but yet you're giving them something to touch, something consumable, something that they can work on. But the magic with direct mail is it's not a one and done. You can't send something out once and expect that you're going to get a return for your investment on your direct mail. And more importantly, you need to integrate your direct mail with some form of digital. So when you marry direct mail with digital marketing together is really when it's most beneficial. So this is just kind of an example. This particular client had an event, and so it was a direct mail to the event, which then gave them the call to action, which they clicked on, was a landing page. They could RSVP, and then they had follow-up that happened as a result of that. So just kind of giving you a quick look. When we say integrated with digital, it's how do we make sure that we're pulling them to your brand, collecting information from them. And in fact, when you integrate direct mail with digital marketing, you have an 80% higher return on your investment. So pretty substantial when you marry the best of the best together and how those work. So with that, we have a few minutes left. We have some questions in the chat line, so we'll start with those. And one had to do with the fact that the individual was representing a nonprofit agency. They're busy focusing and connecting with people. And again, this is where strategically I would definitely look at email as maybe probably one of the most relevant and personalized form of tactics that you could use. I would be really sensitive to the subject line because the subject line is what will determine if your stakeholders know you, trust you, and will open that email. So, just personalize it, number one, put their personal name in the subject line, and make sure that they recognize and understand what it is that you want to talk to them about or share with them. We're going to be more likely to want to engage in that email with you. The other question, Jess, this one's for you because this is like such a super cool thing. Honestly, guys, this like Facebook shop thing just got released last week, so we're super excited about it too. But this individual wants to know how they access the Facebook shops.
So I would go into Facebook and just do a Facebook, just type in Facebook shops in the search. It'll take you to their page with their information page, and it's going to walk you through on how to set that up. That's probably the easiest way I've found to start, getting connected into those shops. It's very user-friendly that I've noticed. It actually walks you step by step to set that up. So even if you're not very fluent with, setting up a, like Facebook page or anything like that, they have really made this super simple to help businesses get their shop launched.
Excellent. The other question that's kind of lurking out there is there other ways that I can be using my Google My Business, and is it that big of a deal? And I would say absolutely yes. Anything Google related is a big deal. And so now's the time, and understand that oftentimes when people are searching for products or service, the Google My Business channel is what they're going to find first, and what they're probably going to click on first before they would even click on your website or even your social channels. So make sure that your hours are updated. Make sure that your safety precautions that you're using are fully disclosed. And like Jess said, there is a special version that you can be using right now on the safety side of it. And understand that Google My Business also has, you can use promotional opportunities, you can put video, you can put content. It's almost like a mini website. So as a small business, it's like gold, honestly, to use, but people do not leverage or take advantage of it to the fullest that they could be. So that's how I would answer that question.
And it's free.
And it's free, yeah. If it's free, it's for us. So we like free. There was a follow-up question on the Facebook shop live. Is it live to consumers now? And if so, where do they see it?
If you don't see it yet, I know it's still rolling out, so not everyone has access to it yet. So when Facebook rolls these new features out, it's kind of a slow roll because they want to make sure they're working the bugs out as they're slowly rolling it out. So if you're looking for it and it's not giving you access to it yet, just be patient. I know people are really wanting to dive into this. I think they're working this is their focus right now. They're working as quickly as possible. So if you're searching for it and it's not letting you set a shop up yet, it just means that your page doesn't have access to it yet. So like I said, just keep checking back if it's daily or just once a week. It'll get there.
Excellent. And with that, we're going to start to wrap up with some takeaways from what we covered today, some kind of lasting tips for you. The key right now in this challenging time is really listen to the changing needs of your audience. It's not about your product, it's not about your service, it's about your customer. So really listen to the questions they're asking, listen to what they're worried about, what they're concerned about, and adapt your plan accordingly. Your plan isn't in cement. It is meant to change dynamically. Use your budget and your time wisely. It's not marketing as usual anymore, and if you were in a cadence of doing something the way you used to do it and you always do it, I'm here to tell you it's probably not going to work anymore because the world's a little bit different and how we have to adapt and change. So now's the time to maybe take a step back and just rethink things, and don't be afraid to test some things, because there are things that you can do that are either free or really inexpensive, and you might fit the home run. And then my last kind of takeaway is that there's no one quick fix. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants a big easy, and there just isn't one. Today, you have to be, kind of use a holistic view if you want, to ensure you're really giving the customer the right thing at the right time, the way they want it, not the way that you want to give it to them. So it is rethinking, how you're looking at a business and planning perspective. And so we're super excited to share an opportunity with you. We've had many people take advantage of this already, and we want to share this with you as well. So Grant, I'll let you kind of share that great news.
Yeah, so everybody will be receiving a follow-up email with a link, and through that link, you'll be able to, one, access the Excel document that you'll be able to do your marketing plan with, and two, you'll have the option to sign up for some of the coaching that we offer. So one is the Google My Business coaching. So again, we'll be able to dive a little bit more in one-on-one with, and Jess will be leading that. A little bit more into how we can get your Google My Business up and going specifically for your business. The other one is on the Facebook Live video coaching. So again, we want you to be comfortable on camera and really use that tool to be effective and really humanize and personalize your brand. And finally, it's the virtual selling coaching. And I know a lot of times, we were mentioning that you should be using video and using one-to-one emails. So we will really dive into kind of the best practices there and touch on some of the tools and tips and tricks that you can be using, many of which are free and very easy, even for somebody like myself, who's not like a designer or super, fluent when it comes to editing video. So there will be some awesome tips and tricks in that. And so with that, Shelby, I will turn it back to you. And thank you all very much for joining us.